This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 294 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible.
Our sponsors this week are Kentucky Performance Products at kppusa.com and you, our patrons.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
This is Glenn the Geek.
And this is Helena B. And you're listening to the Stable Scoop Radio Show on our favorite network, the Horse Radio Network.
Well, thank you, Helena. Well, we are here again, another week, episode number 294. And I think our 300th episode is going to hit just a little bit before our, what year anniversary? We started in 88.
What?
Or 98. Or when did we start? 2008.
You are not the kind of person who should be planning dates and anniversaries and doing math.
6 years. So, yeah, it'll be about the same time. We're going to be hitting our 300th.
6 years, 300 episodes. Okay, so that's coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, coming up.
What are we doing? Are we having a party? Can we have cake?
Know. Can we have a virtual party? Is that
We can have a virtual party. We can invite our listeners in. We've done that before. Do you remember the great Twitter episode?
Oh, yeah. And if we're not all, if we're drinking at the party, then it won't matter because we're not drinking alone.
You know what? Drinking might make things better, because last week's episode, nobody had a drop to drink, and that was kind of horrifying. So maybe a couple of drinks would tone it down a little bit. But yeah, we'll have a party. Let's have a virtual party. We'll invite all our friends.
There you go. I like that idea. We'll see how many people we get aligned at the same time.
Okay.
Let's give it a try.
Okay.
Maybe we'll do it live. Maybe we'll do it using our live system and have a live party.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, we should try that. We've never done that before. Just called it a party and had people, whatever,
I would love to have Stable Scoop listeners call in.
And hang out with us and just
you
for
guys
fun.
Get, over in Horses in the Morning, you get to totally talk to your fans and stuff. We don't really get to talk to our fans here at Stable Scoop.
That is true.
Yeah. I want to do that. Can we do that?
All right, we'll plan a party.
Episode 300 will be a live party.
We'll do a party. I like that idea too.
Uh-oh. It's going to be scary.
That's why there's drinking. See, then it's less scary. That's Hey, we have a couple of great guests for you today. It's going to be a shorter show than normal, as we're kind of on a time crunch this week. But we do have a couple of good guests for you. We have Tony Barretto, who is coming to us from Norco, California, Horsetown, USA. They have their annual Horseweek, 44th annual Horseweek coming up, and we're going to learn all about that. Norco, of course, is one of the places that we loved. We've been, Jennifer and I have been there, and we just like Norco. It's kind of a very unique town in the United States.
It's in California.
Yep. And I want to find out if they're right out of L.A., so they should have felt the rocking and rolling going on out there. We'll find out from him if Norco was affected by the earthquakes.
There were earthquakes?
Yeah, some pretty good ones actually caused some damage, knocked stuff off shelves in stores and stuff. L.A. was having them this time.
I really need to pay attention.
You really need to watch the news a little bit.
I know.
And then we have a old friend of ours from Lexington, Kentucky, Megan Arsman, who, now we're not going to be talking horses with her, although she is a horse girl. We're going to be talking dog agility because she just took her doggie to the 2014 National Agility Championships.
I did some agility once.
Did you really?
Yeah, with my St. Bernard Edgar.
No.
Yeah.
Was he just knocking everything over?
He was really good at a lot of it, except the only thing he couldn't do was the tunnel. Was like
Got
you know
stuck?
those little tunnels. He couldn't even make it through. He was like, "Yeah, no, I'm not even going there, Mama. I'll do the A-frame." He did the seesaw. He did all
Did
the
he
things.
break anything?
No, he was
No?
a very
Okay.
gentle dog.
300-pound dog.
So it'll be interesting it'll be really fun to talk to Megan about what it's like to take that all the way to the national level.
Well, she has a Corgi. So she does a Corgi. So that's kind of funny, too.
Which is you're not,
Not
you
typical, no.
you don't think agility, like, we had all those like cow dogs and the
Yep.
border collies and
Yep.
even the retrievers and stuff, and then my like 300-pound St. Bernard.
Hey, over the weekend, speaking of dogs, we went out to the Florida Horse Park, and we saw lure coursing, which was a lot of fun to watch.
What's that?
They set up this. It has to be in a huge field. I mean, it's like 20 acres, a field, and they set up this elaborate string system with like a couple of white bags on the end, and they get sight hounds to go out and race, and this string pulls along the ground, and this bag goes. I mean, it's fast too, and it goes around this huge, like 20-acre field, and these sight hounds chase them. Anything from whippets to Italian greyhounds to Salukis. Really cool, fun to watch.
Did you get to
thing.
see any Salukis?
Yeah, we didn't see the bigger ones. Mostly they were doing the littler ones when we were there, which are fun, like little tiny greyhounds going. With their little legs. And they love it. They get so excited. They're yipping and pulling on the leash and ready to go. And then they send this string off, and it goes pretty fast. They send this string off, and they let them loose, and they just chase it all the way. And you see them. You can barely see them at the other end of the field. The fields are that large. I could have seen Glory doing that. Glory would love it. She would just love that.
That's awesome, and nothing has to die. Everybody gets to have a little fun. That's a great sport when dogs get to do what comes naturally to them.
And they love it. I mean, they were just so excited to go, and when they get back, they're all jumping around and all happy and smiling. It's cute.
Oh, that's
It was really
awesome.
cute. Yeah,
That's
it was
awesome.
fun to watch. It was a good time. I enjoyed that.
Do you think that's something that you might introduce to Glory,
I think
or
if we
are her?
put Glory out in a 20-acre field, she'd never come back.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I think. I
Okay.
don't know how you practice that either, because it's like miles of this string that they have hooked to these special things in the ground, pulley system and then they have this generator that runs it and makes it go. And I don't know how you practice all that stuff. You can't really set one up yourself. I mean, it's kind of elaborate.
Well, you could. It depends on how much time you
and
have
money.
on
Yeah,
hands.
exactly.
Time and money. Yeah.
And a lot of space, because this was huge fields. It was neat. It was fun.
That sounds cool.
Well, let's get on. Oh, and then later on, I have a Tack and Habit product for you that I am going to review. So we have all of that coming up on today's show. Let's get started by let's just go to Megan Arsman and talk to her about, while we're on the subject of dogs and hounds, let's just head out to Megan and find out what happened in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania at the National Agility Championships. Well, hi, Megan. Good to talk to you again.
Hi, Glenn. Good to talk with you.
I want to know all about the AKC 2014 National Agility Championships, and they were held in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, right?
They were in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Every year they try to move it around. Last year it was in Tulsa, and the year before it was in Reno, Nevada. So, yeah, they try to make it equal for people for traveling.
Were you at the State Farm Show Complex?
We were.
Which is a huge place.
It is. It's pretty big. It's nice. It's nice. We had a couple of technical issues that they had regarding dogs and where we could potty them, but besides that, it was nice.
There's not a lot of grass around that complex.
There's not a lot of grass. There's not a lot of grass, and what grass they do have, they did not want us to use. So.
Okay, well, where exactly do you want these 1,000 dogs to go to the bathroom?
Exactly, 1,600 dogs. It was the largest. It was the largest national agility championship AKC has ever had. So we had there were 1,600 dogs there.
Explain. I think most of our listeners will know what agility is. So explain how a big show like this works.
Well, for nationals, you work through the year to qualify. Every year, the American Kennel Club announces the requirements for the qualifications for each year, and it could change. The past few years, it hasn't changed. Your dog has to be in the master's level, which is the highest level. You work your way up to it. And then once you get to that level, and within the qualification period, you have to earn 6 double Qs, which I'll explain in a minute, 500 speed points, and then I believe it's 20 Qs, which have to be in jumpers, like 10 in jumpers and 10 in standard, I believe, if I remember correctly. And what a double Q is, at normal agility trials that we go to on the weekends, you run twice. You run a standard course, which has jumps, tunnels, contacts like the A-frame dog walk and the teeter, and the weave pulls. And then you will have a jumpers course, which has just jumps, maybe a tunnel, and weave pulls. And you have to qualify to earn a double Q. You have to qualify in both classes on the same day. And to qualify in the master's level, you have to be perfect. You can't make any mistakes, and you have to come in under the standard course time. And then to get your speed points, the judge will measure a certain route for the course, how they expect the dog to run it. They will measure that out, and then they have some kind of formula that they figure out standard course time for each jump height, and that's your maximum time. So it's kind of like with cross country, there's a maximum time, but if you come under it, say your dog runs 10 seconds underneath the standard course time, you earn 10 speed points. But if you happen to come in right at standard course time, you don't earn any speed points. So the faster your dog is, as long as they're clean, the better it is for you.
Clean.
So
wow.
you have about a year to earn the qualifications. For some people, it's easier, and for some, it's a little more difficult. But it's pretty tough road, and anybody that qualifies for it, you gotta give props to and be proud of just making it there, because there's quite a few that maybe just missed it or had some problems.
Now, is there classes for all the different breeds?
They don't do it by breed. They do it by jump heights. What they'll do is they'll measure a dog at their withers, just like we do with horses. And the regular jump heights are 8 inches, 12, 16, 24, and then 26 inches. And there's different measurements for, to jump 8 inches, your dog cannot be any taller than 11 inches at the withers. To jump 12 inches, they are measured between 11.01 or 11.1 maybe to 14 inches, and then so on and so forth. And so that way, like, you don't have to worry about like a Corgi competing against a Weimaraner. Corgis are competing against Papillons and Pomeranians and Silky Terriers and Yorkie Terriers. And then one of the things they started a few years ago is called the Preferred Division, and it allows you to move your dog down to jump 4 inches lower than their measured height. So those jump heights are 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20.
They're for corgis with shorter legs.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly. And that's what they did it for. They did it for, the older dogs, like, there were still, dogs that were 13, 14 years old out there competing, and maybe, their owner dropped them down in jump heights because it's easier on them. And then for certain dogs, like breeds, my Corgi jumped 4 inches preferred. I jumped her at 8 inches for a couple years in regular, and it was so hard on her. I was having the chiropractor work on her all the time because it was hard to get the long back dogs. Sometimes it's harder for them to get up and over a jump, even though she measures 10 inches at the withers. So,
so that actually brings up a good question about how do you know that your dog wants to do agility, or what do you see, in some of the breeds, it comes naturally to them, like, the working dogs, like, the cattle dogs and the border collies. But, how do you look at your Corgi and say, I bet he'd love to do agility. What do you see in your dog that makes you think this is a good sport for us to do?
If your dog is highly active, if they are obedient, if you can do basic obedience with them. With Dally, my Corgi, basically for her it was a matter of I grew up showing horses and competing and training, and I grew up in a dog family. And when I started moving after college, my horses stayed in Indiana on my family farm, and I just had her. And when I moved to Lexington, I had the itch to train, and I had gone for a while without training horses, and I couldn't afford to buy a horse, and I just kind of looked, and I knew about agility because my family kind of started bringing it to Indiana years ago, and so I knew about it, and I found a group in Lexington, and I knew Corgis were pretty good, and Dally learns quickly, and so I just started taking lessons to see if she was, going to be worth it, going to like it, and she did. She needed a job. Some dogs, like especially herding breeds, they need jobs. If they're apartment dogs or if they're just, town dwellers, they need jobs, and they need to learn. They need to constantly be challenged. My other dog that I run, she's naturally athletic. She's super fast. She's super smart, and she was definitely, her breeder was like, she needs to be a performance dog, and so I was lucky enough to get her. But I think a lot of it, and there are some breeds that you wouldn't think would do well in agility, but they actually do. In fact, this year at Nationals, we had the very first ever St. Bernard to qualify and compete at the AKC National Agility Championships. And
there you go.
Well, I gotta stop you right there. I gotta stop you right there, because I actually did agility with my Saint Bernard we just did it for 2 years for fun, because it was something to he needed the training, he needed the socialization, the exercise, and it was something fun for us to do together. And it was, it's like having a child, because it helps them step outside their comfort zone. Like getting him to go up to the, go over the A-frame required effort on his part. But then once he achieved that, my goodness, he enjoyed the A-frame, and the teeter. He always had trouble with the poles, and he would absolutely never go near the tunnel. We always had to take an eye on the tunnel. But whenever I told somebody that we were doing agility with a St. Bernard, you get the raised eyebrows and the giggles, but you really can't underestimate what any dog is willing to do or what they're going to enjoy until you try it.
No, exactly. And this St. Bernard, his name's Hummer, and in fact, he made it. He was so close to making it into the finals, and I watched him move, and he just, he ducked down to go into the tunnel. He basically bent those weave poles out of his way and did the weaves. It was remarkable. I mean, every time he ran,
he could bend anything he wanted out of the way.
Exactly. Every time he ran, the crowd went wild and cheered him on, because it was remarkable to see. And you see so many Chihuahuas do agility. You see a lot of Border Collies and Shelties and Golden Retrievers and Australian Shepherds. And you do see a lot of Corgis, but, there's also Belgian Malinois. There's tons of different breeds that do agility, and they're successful. And there's some that maybe they aren't as successful, but, it's just like you said, it's just, giving it a try and putting them out of their comfort zone. You never know what you're going to get. I mean, you could get even, I have friends that run rescue dogs that, one is a mutt, or what AKC calls them, an All-American or a mixed breed. And, they're just as good, if not better sometimes. And, and all. Now, so it's not just a breed thing. Don't just look at a dog and be like, oh, there's no way that dog could do agility, because you never know.
Now, do they give out? Obviously, all the different classes have their champions and the different heights and everything. Is there a grand champion then? Do they have somehow that they do the like they do at the Westminster Dog Show?
No, because it's just not fair to compare. The speed of like, say, my best friend actually won the national championship in 4-inch preferred on Sunday with her Cardigan Welsh Corgi, and there's no way you could compare Porter's time to the Border Collie that won the 24 inches.
Right,
it's not a fair comparison. So, you just have your jump height winners, and you're very proud of being in that distinct group.
How'd you do? How'd you and your little Corgi do?
Dally and I did well. We were sitting in the top 10 until the last day, and then something very uncharacteristic happened, and I liken it to just like working with horses. When you work with dogs, you never know what you're going to get. Sometimes you're working with another brain. It's not like, they think exactly what you think. They're going to think on their own. And she got a little spooked at something. I have no idea. We've been doing agility for 7 years. This was our third nationals. We've gone to trials in North Carolina, to Nevada. And and she didn't like something and decided she was done. So I kind of got knocked down out of the ranks, but which was disappointing. But then when my friend Miranda and her dog Porter moved on to the challengers round and then to the finals, that totally made up for it. And when I saw her win, and she got to take the victory lap and be called preferred national agility champion, that's that made up a ton for it. So I was very proud of Miranda and Porter.
How loud is it with 1,700 dogs?
Good question.
It can be pretty loud in the rings. We had in Harrisburg we had we had 2 buildings. We had the large arena, I believe, was the one that had 3 rings, and then the equine arena had 2 rings going. And so it could get pretty loud. Especially, we always laugh. Our 4-inch jump height division, we had a lot of corgis in there, and when our corgis are revved up, they're barking. And some of the volunteers were like, "Man, you guys are louder than the 16-inch dogs were." And we're like, "Well, we got corgis; they got a lot to say."
It's always those little dogs. That's funny, and it is funny. I've seen corgis do agility before, and it is funny to watch. It's fun to watch.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's fun to watch because they get so excited. I was telling Helena that we just went and saw lure coursing for the first time at the Florida Horse Park.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a riot.
Fun.
That was a lot of fun. Talk about dogs get excited. I mean, those hounds are ready to go. I mean, they are ready to go.
I've done lure coursing with my Swedish Valhund, and oh my God, she just goes crazy. I mean, I've been to a terrier trial where they've done it, and that's like a lot. Just so much barking. If you go to a terrier trial, I'm just like, I got overwhelmed, and I have a corgi, and I was just like, this is way too much barking for me.
Yeah, they were very excited. I mean, they were all just so excited to get running, and I'd love to try our greyhound at that sometime, but I'm just afraid if I turn her out in that 40-acre open field, I'd never see her again. So.
Well, there's a ramp-up period, Glenn. There does have to be a little practice, a little bit of training before you just set them loose.
Yeah. You have a good callback.
Well, so it was fun. You had a good time.
It was. It's always a good time, especially if you can go with a bunch of your friends. And I had 5 other friends joining me. We were lucky enough to get a horse stall, so we were able to put our crates in there. So we had, food and stuff. And we call ourselves a small dog posse because we have all small dogs, 4, 8, and 12 inches, and so we have, when we go out together, we have a good time. So so to be able to travel, my first year going to nationals, I was only able to go with one friend. We went out to Reno, and we flew while somebody drove our dogs out there. And that was fun. It was a fun experience, but we really wanted to share it with everybody else. And then last year, when we qualified and went to Tulsa, more of our friends were able to get qualified and go. And that makes the road trip fun. We were driving back yesterday and, doing mass text messages. The co-pilots were texting, not the drivers. And just texting different things and jokes the entire time, made the 9-hour trip fly by.
Well, I actually worked in Harrisburg for a long time, so I'm very familiar of where you were along the river. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad that you got to do this. Congratulations, and we'll definitely keep an eye on you and keep in touch.
Thank you. Yeah, I did some coverage for a couple of magazines while I was out there, so that was fun to do. And I had put together what we call Team Daily Corgi. The Daily Corgi is a blog devoted to corgis, and so I did a bunch of social media stuff, like followed who Team Daily Corgi, how they were doing, and so it was pretty cool to have one of our team members win a national championship, and it'll be pretty cool to be able to interview my friend for an article. So
now, give the website address for Team Daily Corgi.
Team Daily Corgi, if you just go to thedailycorgi.blogspot.com, Lori Eno is a woman absolutely devoted to corgis, corgi rescue, stuff like that. She always features corgis every day, and so I've worked with her the past couple nationals to do some wrap-ups and everything, and to give corgis, a little bit of an extra boost. And so we had hashtag Team Daily Corgi and hashtag Stumps of Fury. going on through the nationals. We had 5 Corgis as part of the team, and then and they all did very well and represented. So Lori was really excited, and I'll be doing a wrap up for her probably tonight. She wanted one Sunday night, but we weren't done partying and celebrating until like 11 o'clock and had to be up by 6. So that wasn't going to happen.
Well, very good. Thank you, Megan. We appreciate it. Megan actually has a company called Megan Arsman Communications, and they can find you on Facebook too, right?
They can, yes. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Megan. Well, that was fun hearing about dog agility and all of that. Makes you want to get Glory out there and see if she can do any of that.
Yeah, kind of makes me think about another St. Bernard, too.
I know. I was thinking about yours, too. And, well, look, one made it to nationals. Who would have thought?
I know. Ha, ha, ha. To everybody who poo-pooed Edgar and me at agility.
Must have been quite a sight. You at 5'2",
he was so damn cute.
Him at 5'4".
But standing at the top of the A-frame, really looking all proud. I mean, there's just nothing cuter.
The course designers are going to go, he's going to break my A-frame.
I know.
All right, we're going on to our next guest right after this word from our sponsor, Kentucky Performance Products. We have coming up with us Tony Barretto, who is coming to us from Norco, California, Horsetown, USA, and it truly is. It is a one-of-a-kind place. I think everybody in that town is required to own a horse, and whether you have an acre or half an acre or a quarter of an acre, you've got a couple horses in your backyard. And it is just a fun town, and they have something that they do every year called Horseweek. And this year, it's the 44th annual Horseweek, and we have Tony on, who is the president of Horseweek, to talk about it. This Nutrition Minute is brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products, the company that simplifies your search for research-proven nutritional supplements at kppusa.com.
The horse that matters to you matters to Kentucky Performance Products. Electrolytes. Who needs them? Your horse, that's who. Electrolytes perform critical functions within your horse's body. They help regulate nerve and muscle functions by carrying electrical impulses between cells. In addition, electrolytes assist the body in maintaining a healthy fluid balance by controlling your horse's desire to drink. When your horse loses significant amounts of electrolytes and fluids, problems such as dehydration, muscle cramping, fatigue, tying up, and colic may occur. Even in mild forms, these conditions can have a negative impact on your horse's ability to perform and recover after exercise. Top riders and veterinarians turn to Summer Games Electrolyte to keep their horse healthy in hot weather, and you can too. Summer Games replenishes the electrolytes and trace minerals lost when your horse sweats, and it stimulates the thirst response so your horse continues to drink and stay properly hydrated. So when the going gets hot, trust Summer Games Electrolyte from Kentucky Performance Products to protect your horse.
This Nutritional Minute has been brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products. You can find all of their terrific products at kppusa.com. Good morning, Tony.
Well, good morning, and thank you so much for having me on.
No problem. I love Norco. You know, it's actually our trip to Norco that convinced my wife we needed to move to a warmer climate. We didn't go to California. We ended up moving to Florida, but we moved to a horse community here in Florida. It was because of that trip to Norco.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about Norco for weeks and weeks and weeks afterwards. Norco.
Where else can you go that they actually have, instead of sidewalks, they have bridle paths, and instead of a parking lot, you have hitching posts for your horse at the bar, and then your horse takes you home when you're drunk. It's perfect.
Horse takes you when you're drunk. My kind of town, man. My kind of town.
Yeah, no DUIs.
That's right. Does anybody ever get pulled over for, riding drunk?
It did happen. Obviously you're not supposed to be drunk in public, but the judge did throw it out because the horse hadn't been drinking. So
there you go. That's right. Well, Tony, you have this event coming up. Before you talk about that, Norco is situated just to the west of L.A. in California, and I know you guys have been rocking and rolling and doing some rumbling out there with earthquakes. Have you felt them in Norco?
Oh yeah, we've had a few. And?
Damage,
well, I've been here since '64, so we felt them, and we just kind of ride them out.
See, that's a guy who's lived there his whole life. If you and I were there, Helena, it'd be like, oh, my God, did you feel that? It was awful. Oh, blah, blah. He's just like, it's like anything else.
Well, that's what happens. That's how we feel when we get 6 feet of snow.
Hurricanes. And, yeah.
Or like a little ice storm,
Exactly.
We'd be like, where's my flip-flops? The rest of the country declares a state of emergency. We're like, oh, it's T-shirt weather.
So no
Yes.
big deal, Tony. We didn't break anything. None of your big signs fell down. Nothing.
No, they weren't. They weren't bad where we are here. So
Okay.
just a little bit.
So Horseweek goes on.
Absolutely.
All right.
Amen. And
44
you have like a calendar that is just chock full of stuff.
Oh yeah, we're really excited this year. The Ranch Rodeo is so exciting. If you haven't seen it, you gotta see. It's different each time, so it's a show. Bull riding, some of the finest. They put on a show that just bar none. And the events during the week, when you come out to that chili cook-off, you're getting part of the community, and you just see the want for those trophies and how much effort they put in, and it's a lot of fun.
I
And
love
the,
chili cook-offs, by the way, as a side note. We go to every one we can find that's around here, and I would just love to be a judge at a chili cook-off sometime. I think that'd be a blast.
Yes, you get free beer when you judge.
There you go.
I'll take that job.
You are
Sorry,
invited.
Glenn's not qualified. Glenn's not qualified. He's not. He just
You're
doesn't have.
invited.
Selena will go.
I, however, am qualified and I have experience.
Okay. But you're invited out too. You can be a judge.
Excellent.
There we go. We can go to Norco next year and be a chili judge.
I know. Tell your wife she needs to stay home. I love her, but she's. I'm not competing for.
No, I'm going
it,
with you,
so-
Helena. You and I make good chili
I know.
judges. We'll leave her home.
We can
We'll take-
horrify all of Southern California, in 2 days.
That's right. Well, now,
Jennifer keeps you under wraps. I, on the other hand, would light that fuse.
now, I met a lot of the people from Norco. We got to meet probably 200 people while we were there. And we actually, where it's hanging up on my wall here, and I don't remember what year it was. I'll have to look. But it's hanging up on my wall here, Tony, that we were celebrity marshals in the Christmas parade. And I have the banner on my wall.
Yeah, we have a lot of great events for, and that's where the parade of lights you're speaking of is awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. Now you have something coming up that this week. It's April 18th through the 27th in Norco. You have something coming up called Adult Fun Night. I met some of the adults, and I'm really concerned about what exactly this might be.
Well, what it is they bring their horse and they get to compete in some events that are a little different. They race with ping pong paddles with water, some potatoes to see who can grab them the quickest, and probably the most popular is what's called the hangman. And that's where we have an old truck that used to be used on the farm for hay, and there's a tire hooked to it swinging around, and 2 riders go out there and they have to hang on there, go down around, and come back, and then get picked up by the horse, and you see a lot of excitement occur. So
Nothing could go wrong with that situation.
yeah,
Which begs
No
the
alcohol
question,
involved.
Which begs the question.
we try
You've
not
been
to
doing
allow.
this 44
We try
years,
not to allow
but
that alcohol. Yeah.
how much planning? I mean, I can just imagine your committee sitting around saying, okay, what kind of events are we going to have this year? What worked last year? What do we want to get rid of? What do we want to do that's new? Give us like a little insight as to how that conversation goes. Is it really casual, or do you have to spend a lot of time planning?
Well, we have a great group of volunteers, and they come together in the community, and that is the heart of they're willing to serve, volunteer, and get the job done. It takes an army to do it, and I have the pleasure of getting to serve and lead with them, but they are an incredible group of people. And when you meet them, you see how they really care to make this place better. We start planning, and it's pretty much in October is when it really starts get a theme, and we vote on it. We start moving forward, and we try to have a timeline and just follow up on. This year, it's the 50th birthday celebration of Norco. It became a city incorporated in 1964. The rural lifestyle has gone on for 50 years. So we made it special this year with, in the second weekend, there's going to be carnival rides for the kids. There's going to be panning for gold. There's going to be face painting. There's going to be all kinds of added events besides the normal that went on because of the 50th celebration. There's going to be food trucks with gourmet chefs. We're going to have multiple types of beer, Budweiser and Coors, and we're going to have wine, and we're going to have just welcoming the family out to enjoy the Easter celebration this year.
It was neat when we were there, Helena, that, everybody knows each other because they're all horse people, and horse people tend to talk about horses. It's like when you walk your dog in a neighborhood, it's the only time you ever meet anybody because they talk to your dog.
Yeah, totally.
And it's the same thing out there is because everybody's horse people and they're all riding in town. And then, you ride to go out to lunch and you just put your horse in the little corral there by the restaurant and you go in and have lunch, you come back out, you take your horse and go. It just is that kind of feeling. And they're truly, Tony, we've been to a lot of places. I've never seen any place quite like Norco. It was truly, because you also will never see a place, and I'm not slamming you here. It's just what it is. You'll never see a place with that many horses in such small places. Such small accommodations and quarters.
Yeah, there's a lot of mini ranches, but it is also an animal keeping lifestyle. You don't really have to have a horse. You just have to have a heart for some type of animal that you want to have, and you can come out and you can have, dogs or cats or birds or a pig or whatever you like to raise your family with. So that's what we're promoting, just a rural lifestyle in the midst of all these big cities. We have a little piece here where there's still some dirt left.
Yeah, it's a little piece, but you make it work. And it's not a big deal. For some places and for some people who sort of dabble in animals or dabble in horses and pigs, it's a big deal. But when they're an everyday part of your lives, it's not as difficult or challenging to incorporate them into the fabric of those little tasks. So whether it's a small space or it's a hitching post, going to the store, or socializing, your horses come with you just because they are an everyday part of your life. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
That would be kind of
There's one other thing here, too, that we discuss is family, and we have, like my lovely bride, the amount of work she puts into it, the job she does, and just the support, I can't thank her enough for what she does here, and also just when we come together and we work hard, but it is a pleasure. It is a pleasure to do. So you guys are going to come out hopefully next year and be a part of it.
Well, the 44th annual Norco celebration, what's the website? You have a website for it.
Yes, it's just very simple, the NorcoHorseweek.com.
NorcoHorseweek.com. You can find all the details if you live anywhere near there. Go check it out. It's as I said, it's to the west of LA, and it is easy to get to. And it's for a horse person, it should be on your bucket list. Visiting Norco, I don't care if you go out for the celebration or another time. Visiting Norco should be on your bucket list for any horse person.
Absolutely.
Done. Done mine. And chili and beer.
Tony.
Jen here, host of the Horse Tip Daily Show on the Horse Radio Network. The way consumers interact with the brands they have trusted for years and those they are about to fall in love with for the first time is becoming more and more mobile, literally, and will continue to do so for the foreseeable future. Podcasts or internet radio shows like this one combine the new consumer preference for on-demand information and entertainment with the power of niche market audiences. Advertising on the Horse Radio Network podcasts allows you to reach the equestrian consumer using today's preferred on-demand delivery system. It's cost-effective and flexible, able to reinforce your existing marketing and social media strategies. To learn more about advertising on this show or any of the shows on the Horse Radio Network, contact us at 859-951-2022 or you can email us at glenn@horseradionetwork.com. That's Glenn with 2 N's at horseradionetwork.com. Come and join the Horse Radio Network family. You'll enjoy the ride.
Now it is time for Tack and Habit.
This Tack and Habit segment is sponsored by Sparkle and Boom for all of your new media marketing needs. Visit them online at sparkleandboom.com.
Well, my product today that I'm going to review is a little bit larger in price tag than we usually do here on the show, but it's something that I got one of and have been using it now for about a month. And so I think I can review it and be objective about it now. I got a carriage, a sprint cart they're called, from Fry Carriage Company for little Scooter to pull. And it was pony size, obviously, because Scooter's only 12 and a half. Actually, he grew an inch, so he's about 12.3 now.
He grew an inch.
I know he did. Well, you know, when they're only 12 and a half, you count.
12, 2.5.
Yeah, you count the extra inches. Sort of like you always correct me about your height. Well, when you're Scooter's height, you have to go for anything you can get.
Hey, yeah, I get it, man. I get it.
So we got this sprint cart, which is a two-wheeled cart, no brakes, but a two-wheeled cart. They're made out of metal and some kind of metal, and they are truly... I've owned, usually when people start out driving, let me start here. Usually when people start out driving, they buy a Meadowbrook. And a Meadowbrook is a two-wheeled wooden cart. You've seen if you've seen a horse driving a two-wheeled wooden cart, usually it's a Meadowbrook of some sort. Okay. And people usually buy those, and that's what we bought when we first started driving. We bought a Meadowbrook.
Years ago.
Years and years ago.
Okay.
The problem with Meadowbrooks is they tend to be heavy. They're made of wood, and they tend to be heavy. And when you have a small pony like this, I wanted to get something that was a little lighter because he's not only got to pull the cart around, he has to pull my fat butt around. So, you know, I had a 13-hand
Your words,
pony.
not mine.
Yeah, that has to pull us around. So I wanted to make sure I got something that was going to be good for him and good for me. So I looked around and did a lot of shopping and came up with the Fry Carriage Company, and they're out of Wisconsin. And they were so good to deal with. When I first contacted them, I said, I need to get this cart. I would like to have it painted in a custom color. I don't want just black because that's just not me. Anybody who listens to the show knows I'm not black. I'm more colorful. So they said, yes, you can pick any of one of these. There were literally about 1,000 colors. And the cool part is you could have your wheels a different color than you could just tell them what parts you wanted, what colors, and they would paint it that way. So I did.
So fully custom.
Fully custom. I said, I want this, what we're calling electric blue, and I want these bright yellow wheels, and I want the little dashboard to be bright yellow. And they said, are you sure you want the dashboard to be bright yellow? I said, yes, I want it to look like a circus cart when I'm done. And pretty much we accomplished that goal. They did a great job. They shipped it here in a crate on a truck, and it showed up in my driveway. And it was very well packed in the crate. You can tell they'd done this before. This is the nicest little cart I've ever owned, and I've owned several. This is the nicest one. A couple reasons. One, it's light. It weighs about 200 pounds, so it's a little lighter than most of them. The second reason that I really like it is not only is it light, but it's quiet. One of the things about carts that drivers hate and carriages is they get to be noisy after a while. They squeak, and there's lots of the wheels squeak, and different parts start to squeak. Just everything starts to squeak eventually, and you got a noisy ride. And you know how you don't like little noises in your car, Helena?
Yeah.
Well, it's the same way when you're driving a carriage. You get the little squeak that every time the horse moves, it squeaks. It just drives you crazy. So we got this cart. It is quiet. I just love that about this cart. And the other neat thing about it is these carts are made that you can't do with a wooden cart like a Meadowbrook. Is you can there's 9 different adjustments on it for the horse's height, The shafts adjust in and out. You can turn the shafts in different directions. You can make them go different lengths for the different size ponies. You can raise and lower the whole seat compartment on the cart to give different weight displacement for the shafts, so the shafts aren't pushing down on the horse.
Wow.
That it actually becomes almost level, so that it sort of floats. Mm-hmm. So the shafts aren't putting that extra pressure on the pony. Now, we had to adjust almost all 9 adjustments to get that to happen with this one, because he's on the smaller side for this cart. But we made it happen now. I couldn't have done that with any other cart. And it is just, with all the different adjustments you can do, the seat adjusts backward and forward. So like if I'm sitting there with one person, if I get 2 people, you adjust the seat back. It takes more pressure off the shafts. It's just well thought out, well constructed, and it just works beautifully. We have had no problems with it. I've actually absolutely loved driving Scooter in it, and Scooter looks really cute in it too.
Scooter looks crazy cute in it.
He does.
The picture of you, and first of all, where is that? Was that picture taken? The one of you.
That
and
was
Scooter?
taken in their pasture.
Okay.
Actually, yeah.
So does he always look that cute?
Yes, he always looks that cute. You might have seen a picture over the weekend too of him out with Beaker. Jennifer was riding Beaker, and it's the first time that we've actually taken them out together. And Scooter was in the cart, and we took a picture with Jennifer on her horse and Scooter standing there. And doesn't he always look proud? He looks so proud that he can do this.
He looks very tidy, like he's standing up straight, and he takes his job seriously. Not so much he takes his job seriously, but he takes his position.
Yes.
Quite seriously.
He's proud. He's very proud.
He is proud, yes.
He is happy to have a job. And I don't know if that comes from, I haven't always had ponies that were happy to have a job.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that comes from being a starvation case and not getting a lot of love or what, but he loves being in the harness. He loves being in the cart. He perks up, and he just loves having a job.
So you can actually feel this. This is something, so you're out there. Now, how often, okay, so the cart is still relatively new, and Scooter is still relatively new to driving. He's green.
Yes.
By pretty much from every angle that you look at this. So your first outing, when this photo was taken, was that your first time driving him?
Yes.
Hitched up and everything?
No, that was the first time that he had been by himself. Jennifer was heading him before, would stand in the front with him on a lead rope and be in front of him the whole time. And then what you do to train him up like that is you put him in the cart, or you do a lot of ground driving first, which we did. We did months of ground driving. And then we put him in the cart, and then Jennifer would head him, actually have a lead rope attached to his bridle.
Yep.
And she would walk around with him. And then we did many sessions like that. And then she would take the lead rope off and walk in front of him.
Yeah.
And then eventually she fades away, and he's out there by himself. And that's how we get him around to the point where he is now, where he can go without a header.
So when this photo was taken, what exercises, what did you do with him? Did you just sort of walk?
Yeah, we practice a lot of walking and turning, turning. And then it's different when you're ground driving and without the cart, because there's no shafts, so they're not pulling anything, and there's no shafts.
Right.
So when they're turning, then they make tighter turns and the shafts are there, they get a little confused as to why they can't push their butt over, which is their tendency. That's what they want to do.
Right. So how does he respond to that? Does he get confused? Does he stop? Does he get nervous?
If he is confused, usually he stops.
Okay.
The other day he bolted for the first time. That was the first time I've ever had him do that. But that was because there was a loud crash at the next door neighbor's house. He must have dropped some metal.
Oh,
and it was behind him, and he reared up a bit and took off. And I managed to get him stopped within 20 feet. But he was spooked. He just spooked. But
you were in the cart at the time?
Oh yeah, that was fun. It was fun.
Which in a way, well, it's good.
I wear a helmet.
Yeah, that's where you were. But it's good because you kind of, it gives you a quick refresher course on emergency management techniques.
Yes. And what is funny? I asked Wendy after, Wendy from the driving show. I asked her after, because she's driven four hands, done everything. Yeah. Just yank back like I did, and I did the seesaw motion to get him stopped, which he responded to very well. And she said, "You do anything you can to stop the cart before you die."
Yeah.
She said, "There's no rules. You just do anything you can to stop the cart before you die." It was very funny. Okay.
Wow. And Wendy's not an alarmist. Like she's very grounded and down to earth and practical in her approach. I love that. But she's also not She's not a cowboy either. She's
No, but she's had a runaway or two. So she
exactly. Well, that's what I mean is like she's going to tell you exactly what you need to know in order to stay alive.
The one nice thing about the sprint cars is it's open on the sides, so bailing out, you're not going to get hung up in the wheel. You could bail out very easily out of it.
I see this. So there's no arm, like there's no armrest on the side
No,
there.
and I
Can you
intentionally
fit
did
two
that.
people in the cart? Can you
Yes,
fit two
you
people?
can fit two. Yep, comfortably.
Now-
Jennifer and I have both been on. Yep.
Now, if you, let's just say you were ever to compete, would you consider this a competitive cart?
You could do
Could you
lower
compete with it?
levels. Lower levels you could do. It wouldn't be for anything higher. Very baby levels you could compete with it.
Not the kind of thing where you would need a navigator or anything.
No, right, correct.
Okay,
And
so
usually
there's
with
no-
ponies this side, you don't necessarily need them anyway. But
Okay.
yeah, no, you could do that. I'm just doing it for fun, and
Yeah.
only plan on driving around the neighborhood, and maybe taking him to the woods around here. They have cart paths and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I plan on doing with it.
And it'll be fun for you to go out with Jen. Like you and Jen can go out together.
Yeah, we'll be able to go out together, and she's looking forward to being able to go out where she's riding. And we had to get Beaker used to the cart too. Well, you saw the picture; he didn't care. He was bored.
Yeah. Well, until he does care, until he decides
Yes.
he wants to care.
Exactly.
Beaker reserves the right to care without advance notice.
That's something people forget about too. Is you have to get your riding horses, used to carriages and carts because they haven't necessarily had to deal with those before either.
No, it's a good point.
But he didn't care. He really didn't care. It was like, he was more bored than anything.
I am so excited, and I can't wait for Grace to meet Scooter. She's going to
Oh, she's gonna love Scooter.
absolutely fall in love, and I know she's going to want to learn how to drive. I know this for sure. We watched a silly Netflix movie that featured harness racing, and she was like, "I want to try that, Mom," and I was like, "Oh, please God, no." I can't. I'm, no.
I want to try that too. Wendy and I both want to try harness racing.
I'm like, let's just go down to Florida first and have a couple go rounds with Scooter and Jennifer and Glenn, and then we'll see if you want to do some harness
Bring her
racing.
down. We'll put her in the cart. She'll just, anybody that's met Scooter's fallen in love with Scooter because he's just that kind of little pony. But
Well, I think Scooter will end up falling in love with Grace because she's that kind of kid.
Yep. I saw Gracie riding the other day. By the way, before we get off of this, it's Fry Carriage Company, and you can find it at frycarriagecompany.com. So just search for FREY Carriage Company, and you'll find the link to many of their carriages. They do restorations. This isn't the only kind of thing they do. They do competition carriages. They do antique carriages where they restore them. Some beautiful antique carriages.
I bet.
So check them out. I saw the video of Gracie going round and round on your horse, right, the other day in an indoor?
Yeah, I have my own little exercise rider.
Oh, my God. She is how old is she? 10?
She's 11.
11? She is a quiet little rider.
She is a very quiet little rider.
Oh, my gosh. I was so impressed.
She's very relaxed up there. She's very relaxed up there.
Walk, trot, canter, typical kid. Canter, loved it. I mean, you could tell she just loved riding.
She has which is really interesting because she's a very cautious person, but she does not have fear when she rides, which, enables her to fully relax in the saddle. She was cantering outside the other day, and it's spring here in New England, which means it's freezing, and everybody's got the woohoos.
And getting muddy. Yeah.
And we're in the outdoor arena, and which is sandy but nice. And she's like, "Mom, I want to ride Brody outside." I'm like, "All right. Just so you know, it's springtime and he's going to be a handful." She's like, "I don't care." So I'm standing out there, and I'm watching her go around, whatever. And there is something that only a mother can tell. And I saw the look in his eye change. I just saw the look in his eye change. And he picked it up barely a half a stride a second. And I knew he was going to have some fun. And I was like, "Grace, pull that horse up now, sit back and pull." And she's like, "What is your problem?" And then all of a sudden, it was like a millisecond after I saw it, she felt it. She was like, "Oh boy." And she pulled back on his face with everything she had. And she had to because he's fairly rateable, but there are times where he gets a little hard in the mouth from just from his old school horse days. But she brought him back very quickly. But there's something that you see, but she has no fear, like even knowing that she had to slow this horse down, she was still like, I don't get it, Mom. Like, oh my God, I'm never going to survive this.
Is she a roller coaster girl?
She loves speed and Yahoo.
Yeah. I thought so. I thought she would be.
I'm like, and she's really thin. She's very slight. I'm like, please, God, don't let her ask me to be a jockey. Don't put this kid on a thoroughbred, whatever you do.
Yeah, she would probably like that.
Yeah.
She's going to really love games, isn't she, in Pony Club?
She is loving Pony Club like you would not believe. She's on a different pony every week, and she just totally loves it.
She's going to love games. She's going to have her spoon and her egg. She's going to have a blast with that.
Absolutely loves it.
Well, good. Very good. Well, that'll be fun. We'll get to see her at Pony Club National someday in Lexington.
You sure will. She's the kind of kid who'll do that. She's the kind of kid who'll go there just because it's fun. Just because it's fun.
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us this week. We really appreciate it. You can find us on your phones. Just go to the Android or iOS App Store, search for Horse Radio Network, download the free app. It's the easiest, simplest way to listen to all 11 shows here on the network. We also appreciate our patrons, the people who have become HRN auditors, who have signed up to help support the Horse Radio Network and the hosts like Helena. You can do that by just stopping over at stablescoop.com and clicking on the big banner in the middle of the page. For as little as $1 a month, you can become a patron and a supporter of the Horse Radio Network. If you enjoy our programming, if you enjoy Helena, then please do consider doing that. We thank everybody that has, and we're looking forward to working with all of those people on some special projects here in the very near future. And Helena can be found at...
I'm all over the place, but the best place to find me is at sparkleandboom.com, www.sparkleandboom.com. When I'm not totally talking your ear off here on Stable Scoop, I'm working to help other companies, small businesses, large businesses, horse businesses, non-horse businesses, get their marketing under control. sparkleandboom.com.
Very good. Thank you, Helena.
Thank you, Glenn. That's it for this week, but there will be more next week. Until then, happy scooping.